Hey folks, this is JK from the Ministry of Otaku, 14-year anime convention veteran and cosplaying photographer in the anime convention scene in the DC metropolitan area. If you have not done already, please give a like, subscribe, and ring the bell notifications. I've just went past 950 subscribers a few days ago, or yesterday, and my goal is still 1,000 subscribers. So if you can actually hit the, so you can actually help me out a bit, it'll help you and help us out. And there's still plenty of news stories I want to cover in the anime convention scene and the anime/otaku scene. Now today I want to talk about virtual cons. Really, they're more like glorified live stream events because they're simply not the same as anime conventions or Comic Cons. Because first, the interaction between the interactions between person and person is gone and replaced with a semi-parasocial relationship. But even then, the parasocial relationship has been gone. It's just a glorified TV channel. And here's the thing: there's lack of interaction in these live stream events. Really, lack of interaction. Another thing about these conventions, these live stream conventions, is that the atmosphere of these conventions are completely and utterly gone. And they're basically reduced to a TV screen. I don't know why I keep repeating myself, but seriously, these Comic Cons and anime cons that have gone to these live stream events are simply no fun, they're boring. And I did attend one virtual con known as Otaku Online, and it bored me. They tried the best they could, but it's not fun. I was bored to tears. And really, they didn't even try to. And at least they could have something to use the full theme, the sports theme, the Olympics theme for 2020, but they just didn't use it entirely. They could sell much, but they didn't. And what is sad is that this is the end of fan conventions as you know it. Especially with various Comic Cons and anime cons that are imposing super Chrono-chan woke hygiene fear. That even if you are vaccinated, you'll still be required to wear a mask. And growing people are skipping out. They're walking away from these conventions until they go back to normal. In some cases, they're just hanging up their lanyards and their costumes for good, since they know that it's not going to change. And the worst thing is that companies are realizing that these events are cheaper than holding their own physical conventions. Even though, here's the thing about these conventions, about in-person conventions. You're there for the atmosphere and for the cosplayers, and to get deals room stuff. I mean, you're not there for the panels. You're not there for the panels or presentations. Anyway, here is the article from the Hollywood Reporter. Is Comic Con the linear TV of fandom events? It's originally titled Comic Con 2021. Virtual fan events could become new standard. No, they're not going to be a new standard. They don't want this. Lots of people are done with this, and they want normalcy, not TV. If I want to watch TV for 8 hours, it'll be an actual entertaining programming, not a panel. Now let's begin. The San Diego event has long ways to clean, but as the Chrono-chan hysteria continues to cultivate in-person gatherings, a wave of glorified live stream experiences from studios and streamers is filling the void and could become the new standard. No, it's not being a new standard. They're watching YouTubers instead, which I'm going to show you after I read through this article. At least one headline afterward called it a disaster. It was 2016, and anybody could have predicted that the panel for Batman the Killing Joke at San Diego Comic Con was going to get dicey. The R-17 rated Warner Bros. Animation title was based on Alan Moore's notoriously edgy comic. The post-screen Q&A soon got heated. One reporter shouted at the panel that young Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, was using sex to seduce her father figure, Bruce Wayne, then stormed off. Want to say that again, pussy? Screenwriter Brian Azzarello shot back from the stage. It was a cringy headline-making exchange, something that occasionally happens at the Wild West of Comic Con, and precisely the type of thing that is still reposing hopes that doesn't occur when fans, press, and creators are thrown together. And here's the thing: these glorified conventions are a godsend to Hollywood because they can control the narrative, they can control the chat, and so many of them are basically Zoom panels where there is no real interaction between the consumer base, fan base, and the people who are running the panel, who are hosting the panel. Oftentimes, there is no real interaction. You're not allowed to ask questions to a panel. And if you're able to ask questions, they'll get filtered out by the people running the panel. And for some reason, Hollywood loves these glorified glorified fan panels. I mean, these glorified live stream panels, because of the fact that virtual worlds are easier to control from the one who creates them. And the lack of in-person conventions, cause spontaneous moments or decisive moments, as photographers and field photographers like us would call it. This eliminates the decisive moments and spontaneous moments these conventions create. I mean, seriously, did anyone actually recorded that interaction? Anyway, to continue, fast forward to 4 years later, the Corona-chan hysteria forced the cancellation of SDCC in the video game industry's Free Expo due to government stay-at-home orders and state of emergencies. So Warner Bros. tried a new tactic to promote its burgeoning DC slate. In August 2020, the studio launched its own fan event titled DC Fandom, with glorified live stream panels for upcoming movies, shows, comics, and video games. The result was like an 8-hour glorified live stream in-house Comic Con, complete with trailers, interviews with directors including Zack Snyder and James Gunn, and first look photos. Many burning fan questions were answered, so long as they were questions producers and publicists wanted to address. So they were really controlling the narrative. Instead of fans going straight to the people who create the movies, asking questions, the producers and publicists filtered those questions. And fans seemingly loved it. You mean pay pigs. One site, Screenland, part of the Access Media, infused that fandom set a gold standard for all future online events. While it was created because of the government lockdowns, though the process there were so many lessons about going straight to the fan base, launching globally all at once in the value of keeping it within the DC Comics branded banner, recalls former Warner Bros. TV Group President and Chief Marketing also Lisa Jordan, who helped spearhead the event. Suddenly, we had the technology, tools, access to talent, all participation to go live ourselves, and the question became, how can we create something really special to super serve the fans globally? And that's the only benefit of these glorified live stream events. You can broadcast it towards the world, not just the United States, but to Europe, Asia, Africa, South America. That's the only other benefit to these glorified live stream events. But the problem is, it's the low viewer base. It's low viewer base. for those who are into actual conventions. Other studios followed suit. Netflix rolled out RitualCon, a glorified live stream devoted to all things in the virtual universe that included an hour-long interview with the star Henry Cavill in July. At the end of August, Netflix announced another even bigger glorified live stream fan event. The rather awkward Tuddum? I don't know how I pronounce that, which will highlight more than 70 shows and films on September 25th. Would that include the dead-on rival Cowboy Bebop live-action adaptation? Because I'm not watching that. No. Disney Plus announced Disney Plus Day, a company-wide cross-promotional campaign for November 12th, marking the streaming platform's 2-year anniversary. Paramount Plus has its Star Trek Day set for September 8th, celebrating the 55th year anniversary of the visual series and featuring a day of Zoom panels live from the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. And that's the thing about all these. All these companies have used to have their own in-person experiences at San Diego Comic Con and at New York Comic Con, both of which has gone super Cron-chan woke. And I actually went to Comic Con last year in New York, 2019. It was a radically different experience than the anime cons I go there, even Baltimore Comic Con. And I remember one person who was very insistent on me eating the bug-made chocolates from Snowpiercer, the TNT network's TV adaptation of Snowpiercer, the movie. If you have not seen Snowpiercer, the movie, go watch it. Go watch it. I'm not going to spoil you anything. Now, here's the thing about these events. They could be done in person. And with these online events, they realize they don't need to be in person anymore. They don't need to be in person anymore. And this removes the in-person experiences with these online events. They realize that they're not going to go to Comic Cons anymore, or for anime companies, they don't need to go to anime cons anymore to advertise. They can just do everything online, even when things go back to normal, if they do go back to normal. Studio launching their own fan outreach events is nothing new, of course. Lucasfilm debuted Star Wars Celebration in 1999. It's now run by Disney, along with its own annual D23 Fan Club event, which premiered in 2009. But this flurry of new, glorified live stream fandom events does raise the question, as we hopefully move out of the Cron-chan hysteria. Our in-house glorified live stream events are going to take the place of live third-party fan-based events like Comic Cons, just as streaming services are increasingly taking eyeballs away from linear TV and movie events. I will hope not, says Comic Con spokesman David Glasner, and I agree with him. It's not a replacement for in-person events. It can never be a replacement. In my opinion, these glorified live stream events are an insult. Glorified live stream conventions, especially for anime cons and Comic Cons, are an insult to the 30 years of convention tiering, the 30 years of fan events. It has to be in person, or I would have no convention at all. I'm sorry. So let's go through this again. I will hope not, says Comic-Con spokesman David Glasgow, whose organization tried its own hand for glorified live stream event with Comic-Con at Home in 2020. This year, the free glorified live stream event returned in July with panels that included such shows as The Walking Dead, Rick and Morty, and Lucifer, and pared down in person in Super Cron-chan woke. Comic-Con Special Edition is set for November 26th to 28th. That is after Thanksgiving. Seriously? I mean, I will not attend our respect. And isn't 26th supposed to be Black Friday? If I'm wrong, please correct me. Ask Glacier, there is probably enough room in the fan community for different kinds of convention events. We long said one of the great things about Comic-Con is the vast cross-section of things to discover. A fan comic books can also spend time exploring toys, games, movies, television, consuming and other various forms of art. We're not limited to one producer. Instead, we offer great forms of art from different creators. And Comic-Cons, including the major Comic-Cons of New York and San Diego, have turned from actual comic conventions to fan culture events. People don't go to these Comic-Cons for comics anymore. They come for the cosplay, the atmosphere, the dealer's room, and for the actual experience. We have anime cosplayers there. We have video game cosplayers there. We have people who are into anime and video games as well. The only problem with Comic-Cons is that, except for the movie premieres, there's no viewing rooms. There's no viewing rooms for cartoons, such as for anime cons, and which is standard, and almost ritual for almost every anime convention except for Anime Matsuri. That I agree. Comic-Cons became fan conventions, but the issue is that most of these companies are not going to be in the future Comic-Cons, because they can do everything online now, unless they're doing an in-person event and an online event. Studio marketing insiders agree there's distinct value in Comic-Con events as a press magnet, and particularly a way for new, lesser-known general parties to drive attention of larger established titles, whereas with streaming, an event tends to largely draw fans who are already invested. Still, one industry insider points out that these new glorified live stream events will be competing for the same marketing dollars. That's going to be the same time compromise about where you're spending the money. We've already having the conversation about where the expense was worth it for live events before the great hysteria. And glorified live stream events don't come cheap. Doing a few live stream show panels can easily run 6 figures. It's not like a normal Zoom call, says one inside of a major streamer. You need to have hire production people, you need to have hair and makeup, you need to have an editor. It can easily be expensive as in person. The price of having a presence in Comic-Con varies more widely depending on how big of a splash the studio wants to make. A standard show panel can run upward to $100,000, including cast travel costs. If you tack on experimental activations, build-outs, and promotions, the price can rise into the millions, not to mention the months of logistical planning required. San Diego Comic-Con typically charges fans for tickets roughly $250 for a 4-day badge to the original live event, and $150 for the new special edition. And travel and lodging can be costly, and while studio live stream events are usually free, for now at least. And already, here's the thing. Live streams can be easily cheap. How will it cost a streaming event $100,000 in cost when you can have a webcam? You can easily buy multiple webcams, a light, and a mic. All there. How could live streams be expensive in the age of YouTube? I mean, in the age of YouTube, how can live stream events be expensive with webcams and mics you can easily buy off a Best Buy? I mean, seriously, there are many YouTubers who have streaming productions that are cheaper than what Comic-Con is. We have Neurotic with Friday Night Tights, that he had a simple camera, and with Streamlabs. I don't know the name of the company, but he had a simple web-based software, and a basic web camera with a mic, and other people with a webcam mic and Zoom-like experience, and they get, and it was a lot cheaper, but they get more audience. They get more audiences than, they get more audience, attendance than any of these live streaming events at Comic Con. A lot cheaper. I mean, you can have a basic streaming setup for about, I don't know, $150? $100? And how could something like this cost $100,000? Christ's sake. I don't understand. I don't really understand. I mean, the age of YouTube, there are plenty of streamers and groups of streamers that get a lot more bang for their buck. Some major players seem to be adopting a wait-and-see attitude. Netflix Insider describes to them as an extension of its social media efforts and notes that no decision has been made where it will turn in 2022. Well, they better, because they want back to normal. Audiences want back to normal, and they want it now. They're not waiting. We already have Anime Matsuri going. We already have Anime Matsuri, who's already growing to almost 40,000 people for the 2021 event. Disney is similarly unwilling to publicly commit to Disney Plus Day becoming an annual event, though it could be a one-off effort to boost yearly subscription patches that are set to expire. Fandom, however, has its next event scheduled for October. Star Trek Day 2 is coming up on sophomore year. And there's one thing about their events you can bet on. For better or worse, anything controversial will be left on the cutting room floor. Basically, here's the thing. I bet that they're going to keep these events so they can control the narrative, so they don't get surprise questions, such as what happened in 2016 with the killing joke. Because let me tell you something straight up. These virtual Comic Cons, they're a joke. They're no fun. They're not exciting. And here's the thing, they're already failures. Take one look at the Comic-Con International YouTube screen. The Comic-Con International YouTube page. And there are plenty of Zoom panels that are under 1,000 views or just under 500 views. Lots of people that go to this channel only come for the major shows. They don't come for the panels. They don't come for the Zoom panels. They come for the major franchises like Ruby, Rick and Morty, The Walking Dead. Those already reach at least 10,000 viewers. Seriously, you can see for yourself how much a failure Comic-Con at home is for 2020 and for 2021. Really, people don't want to experience a Comic-Con at home unless they have an in-person event. And even then, everything in that Comic-Con should be recorded. All the panels, the events, live in the premieres, everything should be live streamed. I could really go, I would really suggest doing a live PD experience. Basically having all the panels shown, or at least have the highlights of these panels shown, and have cameraman record the convention. Run around the convention, see any spontaneous moments that happened, and record them. And broadcast them on live. That would make it a fully virtual experience. If not live stream. Unless you got at least the panels, the concerts, and things going on in the panel showing on the internet, it's not the real thing. Meanwhile, look at Clownfish TV. They get at least 20,000 views, 50,000 views, and this is from a 2-person team. And this is from Variant Comics. And in front of these short 10 to 15-minute videos, they get easily over 100,000 views. And Comics Explained, they get about, on average, 50,000 views. And sometimes over 100,000 viewers. No, like, he gets over 100,000 viewers for at least 100,000 viewers for Friday Night Tights. People are not interested in glorified live stream events. When you have YouTube, there's no need for a glorified live stream virtual Comic Con or for a glorified live stream anime convention when you have YouTube. When you got YouTubers doing the panel work for them, and people have been flocking to YouTube for their entertainment due to the fact that TV has gone Corn-chan woke and gone Friday woke instead of bringing entertainment and escapism from March 2020 to this day. Seriously, I would have, seriously, Comic-Con is, and Anime Con's on the way out if they don't do something. They need to provide a bigger and better experience to get people to come back for 2022. And it's bad enough they're going super Corn-chan woke. But seriously, no one is interested in these glorified Comic Cons, these live stream events. They're just gonna watch YouTube and YouTubers, not Zoom panels, for their entertainment. I mean, seriously, they should invite these YouTubers to Comic Cons and Anime Cons. This is JK for the Ministry of Otaku signing out. Have a good day.